VanEck's head of digital asset research just woke up and decided to throw shots at the XRP community. I'm serious, this actually went down. No joke. Let's break this whole thing down. David Schwartz and the community aren't staying quiet about it. We've also got a ton of breaking details coming out about the spot XRP ETF situation. Stephen McClurg, the CEO over at Canary Capital, has been sitting down for interviews. There's a lot he covered, and I want to pull apart the important stuff and show you what's on the horizon for the next few days. But real quick, let's address this controversy. So here's the deal. Matthew Siegel is VanEck's head of digital asset research. This is literally verifiable. And today he goes online and drops this bomb. Dear XRP maxis, I may never understand what your blockchain actually does, but I'll always respect the passion required to pretend it does something. Keep up the hustling. Well then, Juan Cooper wasn't having it and fires back, keep pretending you don't get it for engagement. He brought up the whole Ondo Ripple BlackRock collaboration around tokenized US treasuries and the continuous 24/7 redemption system running through RLUSD. So Matthew Siegel isn't done yet. He claps back with, cool initiative, but does any of this actually accrue value to the XRP token holders? I'm not aware of any fee capture, revenue share, burn, or economic linkage. I think maybe I'm not smart enough to understand, but I'll keep trying to learn and update my views. Yeah, he's still going at it. Then David Schwartz enters the chat with the mic drop moment. He hits him with, you asked what the blockchain actually did. You got an answer. Your response was that you couldn't get passive income from it. Is the blockchain ethos no middleman, be your own bank, or is it if I can't tax other people for profit, I don't care about it? Okay, let me fill you in on who this person actually is. He's been cashing checks from VanEck for the past 4 years, hopped on board in 2021. What's his gig at VanEck? He's spearheading research and insights for their entire digital asset arm while helping plot out the firm's game plan. So hang on a second. The individual whose paycheck depends on creating dialogue and forging partnerships throughout crypto is instead out here publicly antagonizing entire communities. What's the strategy here, VanEck? I'm definitely not convinced. Let me lay out the actual facts for you. VanEck is a massive player in the ETF issuer game. We're talking $160 billion in assets under management as of 2025. They're already running Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Just the Bitcoin ETF by itself is hovering around $2 billion in assets under management. They've got a whole roster of various products going. And here's where it gets interesting. VanEck has active filings and plans to launch new ETFs, tracking XRP and Solana, which are part of a wave of a new crypto asset product. So clearly, the research folks have absolutely no communication with whatever team is filing these products at VanEck. You wouldn't imagine the research division would be out here nuking relationships in the same exact space where they're preparing to drop new products, right? Because here's what I know for certain. After watching this train wreck unfold, the XRP community isn't going anywhere near your products. You can bet on that. So somebody at VanEck better be drafting an apology email right about now because this situation is wild. Here's what gets me. Asking questions because you're curious and want to learn, totally respect that. But we're talking about the head researcher at VanEck here. Like, that's literally your entire job description. If you're still confused about the fundamentals at that level, then Houston, we've got a problem with your job performance. And oh boy, X is absolutely on fire with this drama right now. VanEck executive attacks XRP, gets dragged by Ripple CTO and the entire community. This one is wild. Matthew Siegel, the actual head of digital assets research at VanEck, posted a snarky jab at XRP holders, basically admitting he doesn't understand what XRP's blockchain even does for a guy running a research of a major asset manager. This is insanely unprofessional. No clue where this train wreck ends up, but let me tell you something. If your game plan involves winning hearts and minds in blockchain, picking a fight with one of the most ride or die communities in crypto, that's not strategy, that's self-sabotage, VanEck. Okay, enough talking, let's actually watch this unfold. Crypto Eerie just blessed us with this incredible piece of content we've got to talk about. You know what? I'm done with all the doom and gloom for a minute. Let's pivot to the actual substance, the real moves being made. Check this out. Nate Garossi pulled up with Stephen McClure for a conversation, and they're breaking down the whole ETF landscape, plus all the institutional orders happening where most people can't even see them yet. Listen to this.
And we're also seeing a large amount of orders this morning for in-kind and XRP as well. One of the things that when in-kind orders come in, you don't see it in trade volume. So trade volume is a little bit tricky. It doesn't necessarily translate one-to-one on AUM or inflows. It's just what's being transacted throughout the day. But when you have people moving their coins from a wallet or a ledger into an ETF, that trade volume doesn't occur because it is in kind.
Buckle up, because I've got some juicy data to share with you. We clocked $58.563 million in transactions yesterday, and we left Solana eating our dust by more than $1 million. How good does that feel? Pretty fantastic, I'd say. So many people were sitting there thinking XRP's ETF was going to be some weak sauce, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. We're talking about 900 different ETFs hitting the market in 2025, and on day one, XRP just planted its flag at the summit. We're talking peak performance, baby. Looks like XRPC from Canary Funds has the largest one-day trading volume for any ETF launched in 2025. Yeah, you better believe I'm celebrating that. No shame in this game. Now peep these midday stats. Midday XRPC, 677,000 ETF share volume, about 16 million. Opens at about 9:30 a.m. Huge volume buy at 85,851 shares. Full day projection down about 2 million shares. But here's where it gets really interesting. This is literally just the warm-up phase. We're looking at one single ETF doing these numbers. There's about 10 more waiting in the wings, ready to pile on. All right, so demand is absolutely exploding for every single ETF out there. XRP is about to take off. Kendra Hill says, Canary Capital's XRP ETF holdings increased by 4,760% after just one day. What's happening here? They're literally sucking XRP straight out of the open market and stuffing it into these funds. And you know what? I'm actually excited about this. The moment you see less and less XRP just sitting on exchanges, boom, prices shoot up, right? It's simple math, really. When supply gets scarce and exchanges are basically running on empty, prices have no choice but to follow. That's the exact position we're sitting in right now. So what's my take on these ETFs anyway? Listen, if you're holding XRP, this is going to work in your favor. Bigger liquidity pools, stronger value across the board. But here's where things get interesting. More and more institutions are grabbing control, yeah? Meanwhile, retail investors are already struggling. They don't have enough XRP. They don't have enough say in what happens next. Every single time we pile into these ETF products, we're practically gift wrapping more power and handing it straight to institutions. I've got to be straight with you. Yeah, there's good stuff here. Yeah, there's sketchy stuff too. Frame it any way you want, the end result is identical. All right, enough about that. Let's jump into these crazy inflows coming through. XRP net inflows, $2.33. And Chad absolutely crushes it with this line. Right now, you're sitting on a beach watching the tide pull out and asking the question, where's the tsunami? That's chef's kiss right there. Oh boy, and then we've got Scott Melker popping up to talk about the ETF just before it went live. Now listen, Scott has built quite the reputation on X as this massive XRP critic. Is he doing it because he believes it? Is it just to farm engagement and clicks? Your guess is as good as mine. What's fascinating is how he actively chooses to miss the point on everything XRP. It's basically this predictable cycle. Every half year rolls around and boom, same exact questions from him like he's stuck in Groundhog Day. But whatever, that's just how Scott operates. Let's listen to what he said.
We have an XRP ETF launching today, which I think, I don't know how it'll do today. I don't know what it will mean for underlying XRP, but having interacted quite frequently with the XRP army, I think this thing should do quite well, because right now, right, isn't mostly crypto just trades on Lindy Like we kind of just you get the effect of the crowd and they buy and they're excited, and that breeds more buying and excitement. I think this thing should do quite well. Solana's done well, the ETF.
Yeah, it might do.
Look, they're running from the truth here, straight up refusing to face reality. Scott finally broke down and acknowledged it, and meanwhile, the other guy is practically begging, come on, let's pivot to Bitcoin, Ethereum, anything. That's where I can breathe easy. You can see the wheels turning in his brain right there. Oh, and check it out. We've got Scott sitting down with somebody else in this interview too. Take a listen.
An XRP ETF launching today, which I think I don't know how it'll do today. I don't know what it will mean for underlying XRP, but having interacted quite frequently with the XRP army, I think this thing should do quite well. Because right now, isn't mostly crypto just trades on Lindy? Like we kind of just you get the effect of the crowd and they buy and they're excited, and that breeds more buying and excitement. I think this thing should do quite well. Solana's done well, the ETF.
Yeah, it might do.
Look, the XRP haters, they'll grab onto anything, literally anything, just to throw shade. We're talking about the #1 performing ETF out of 900 that launched this year. And what does he say? I guess it did okay, right? I guess it did okay. All right, dude, keep telling yourself that. But here's where it gets really juicy. Flare Network is absolutely cooking right now. The more they stack up this DeFi infrastructure, the more XRP gets pulled into the system to keep it all humming. And when more XRP gets locked up in staking and people start farming yield on it, guess what happens? The circulating supply shrinks. Now imagine we squeeze that circulating supply down to practically nothing. XRP's price has nowhere to go but up into 3 digits, 4 digits, maybe even 5. That's the end game we're all chasing over the next couple years. Hugo's dialed in. Crypto Aries says, I'm on 30, 40, 50 billion in XRP to create an insurance market with Firelight Finance. Take a listen.
I think what will increase XRP, the 50 million that's been bridged, is now 60, I'm quite glad to say. What will increase that 10 times? Firelight will increase that by 10x. Like, Firelight is built for scale. If you look at insurance markets, they're 30, 40, 50 billion dollars, right? We can take 30, 40, 50 billion dollars of XRP in order to insure and in order to give cover to those markets. It's really built for scale, and because XRP has no native yield, just being able to give some yield back is valuable. Getting that staked representation and then putting that into the Flare ecosystem to maybe borrow against that staked representation and do more with your money, I think that grows to multiple billions already. Some of the hurdles there are where are the pools of XRP? So you have a big retail pool, but you also have a huge amount of retail that are holding their XRP at custodians and exchanges. So onboarding exchanges, it has been pretty critical for us. That's a process we're very comfortable with where we are. So I think there'll be a number of exchanges participating in Firelight, first of which is already announced, called Uphold. And then really making the experience as easy as possible for retail with smart wallets. That is critical. So smart wallets allow a XRP user to only ever make transactions on the XRP ledger. They never need to come to Flare. So they can bridge their XRP to Flare and direct where that XRP goes on Flare without ever touching Flare. Just because we have data protocols that can read a memo field on the XRP ledger, so we can basically abstract away all of the complexity of using Flare, and that's coming hopefully in December.
Guys, the XRP ledger is on fire right now. I get it. The price has been kind of flat the last couple days while everything else is crashing. But wait, here's the thing. XRP's barely flinching while Bitcoin's having a full-on meltdown below 90,000. Or hang on, maybe it was 95,000? Actually, right now it's dropped under 100,000. there's apparently a 70% shot it crashes below 95,000. Everyone's freaking out across the board, but XRP, rock solid. Let that sink in for a minute. Oh, and guys, if you're feeling this and want to blow up Matthew Siegel's spot in front of a bigger crowd, here's your move. Hit that like button, throw a comment down there, and forward this to somebody who's got to watch it. I'll catch you on the next upload.